In this video, we'll learn how to add a menu to our template files. In our last lesson, we set up our header and our footer template files, but we didn't add our menu text or our menu HTML. And if you remember from our last video, I mentioned that we didn't add it because we want to add it dynamically so we can use WordPress's menu builder in order to create dynamic menus. That way it's more powerful and it's not static. So we want to come in here and add our code to pull in our menu exactly where we want it to appear, just like in our prototype. So if I switch back over to our home page, you'll notice just right after our logo we have our unordered list with our navigation. So this is where we're going to add our code. So I'm going to add an opening and closing PHP tag. And then inside of here we're going to use a special function to pull in our navigation. And that special function is called WP_nav_menu. And it takes a set of arguments which we pass to it as an array. And we have, all these are optional. So we have all kinds of different things we can pass. So it just depends on what we need. So these are just a couple examples. And what we're going to use is menu class. So we can give it a specific class and it'll add it to the UL element that's generated. And we also want to give it a location to tell our theme where this menu is intended to be used. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to use that function. So I'm going to say WP_nav menu. So we're telling it that there's going to be a menu here. And then we're going to pass it a set of arguments. That's an array. I'm going to go ahead and put that on a new line and a semicolon. And then we're going to tell it, first of all, we want to give it a specific menu class. So we're going to pass that one argument menu_class. And then we can set this to whatever string or class we want our menu to have. So if I come back to our index.html prototype, it just has a class of main navigation. So that's exactly the same class I want to give this menu. So I'm going to call it main-navigation. And then I'm going to add a comma. And then I just want to add one other argument for now. And that's I want to tell it what theme location I want this to have, which will make more sense in our next video. So I'm going to tell this theme_location, and I want this to be my primary menu. So I'm just going to say primary, and we don't want a trailing comma, so we're going to leave that off. So I'm going to hit Control S to save, and then we're going to register our footer navigation as well. So I'm just going to hit Control C to copy all of this to save us some typing. And I'm going to switch over to our footer.php file. And I want to add this inside of our footer navigation container. So I'm going to paste that in. And I want to just change these arguments. So I'm going to give it a class instead of main navigation. I'm going to change this to footer navigation, which before we had that on our nav, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. So it's going to be added to our unordered list, just like our main navigation. Just keep that consistent. And then I'm going to change the theme location from being our primary to being our footer nav. So I'm going to hit Control S to save, and we're going to switch back over to our site. So I'm just in my dashboard now, and we should be able to come down here to Appearance and add our menus. And you'll notice that our menu option isn't appearing anywhere in our theme. And that's because our theme doesn't have a functions.php file, so we don't have support for a lot of standard theme features. We have to add this manually when we create our own custom theme. So that's what we're going to learn how to do in our next lesson when we learn how to set up our functions.php file so we can do things like add our style sheet and register support for our menus.